Assalamualaikum. My name is Lailatul. Today I'm going to talk about my conceptual paper, which titled Pandemic Linking the Big Five and the Conflict Management Style within the SME Context in Malaysia. So for the introduction, personality differences may be a major reason of conflict as well as the perception of conflict and preference for handling that conflict. The COVID-19 pandemic is an unforeseen global phenomenon which has thrown the economy into chaos and effectively put commerce at a standstill. It has affected most businesses, including the small medium enterprises, SME, and also micro SME, which make up a significant of 98.5% of Malaysian businesses. This is based on the SME Corporation Malaysia 2020. So researchers estimated that the percentage of time managers spend dealing with the conflict at the workplace has more than doubled from the mid-1970 to 2005. The workforce in the 21st century in the Malaysian has never been more diverse. People are obviously different in many ways. One important aspect of difference is their personality. So different personality affect people's feeling about conflict and influence their reactions to conflict. Different reactions to conflict may lead to dissimilar ways of management styles to handle conflict. Various management styles to handle conflict may result in different outcomes from the conflict. And in the problem statement, while conflict management is widely practiced by firms and other profit-oriented organizations in this country, its adoption by private sector, particularly in small firms context at operational level, is less understood. The unfolding coronavirus situation has the potential to cause a bad feeling or at the very worst outright the conflict at work. SME are looking at the very strategy to survive and sustain their business after the MCO period. According to the recent survey by the SME Association of Malaysia, the majority of SME are currently facing with conflict and are expecting to restructure their businesses or downsize their operation to 23.39% in order to cope with this challenging time, which are the pandemic situation. While several largest SME have reported that they may not last beyond 2 months, the micro SME may struggle even briefer durations due to the lack of saving. Although micro SME may not have high overhead, they still have financial commitments in terms of employee salaries and rent totaling between 3,000 to 5,000 ringgit Malaysia per month. Micro SMEs are more adaptable as they can change their business model very quick due to the size. On the other hand, SMEs with a high number of employees will struggle to sustain overhead and apply changes in business direction. So as you can see now, conflict management in Malaysia is still unsubstantial and unknown in the sense that there is an absence of documented proof of its practice. The personality trait typically remains stable in normal circumstances, but you have to know that they can change in response to this unusual distress situation, such as during pandemic. This is based on Cont 2020. So very few research studies have examined the relationship between the five-factor personality and conflict management style with inconsistent or even conflicting findings. A better understanding of the relationship between the personality and conflict management style may help managers handle conflict in the workplace more effectively. So the rationale of the study, the first one is the purpose of this quantitative correlational research study was to examine the relationship between the five-factor personality and the conflict management style in the small firm setting that is SME in Malaysia. The five-factor personality and preference for a conflict management style are variable in this correlation research study. And this five-factor personality will be measured with the NEO five-factor personality inventory, while the conflict management style will be measured with the Rahim organizational conflict inventory too. The correlational research design provided the means to determine whether and to what degree of relationship existed between two or more quantifiable variables. So the significance of the study should be significant in the sense that it will contribute to the advancement in the interdisciplinary field of personality psychology, business administration, and organizational leadership. Specifically, this research study may fill the gap of knowledge about the relationship between the five-factor personality, especially at the facet level, and preference for a specific conflict, especially during this pandemic situation. The result of this research study may also have a significant impact on organizational leaders and leadership practices. Given the fact that conflict can significantly affect the organization, organizational leaders are allocating more resources to manage conflict in the workplace. The result of this research study may offer organizational leaders new insight about the relationship between the five-factor personality and the conflict management style. The new insight of the relationship between the five-factor personality and conflict management style may help the organizational leaders better understand not only their own personality but also the other organizational members' personality and the effect of personality on their preference for conflict management style. In my conceptual framework, this study built on the advancement in personality psychology, specifically trait theories, and in conflict management, specifically two-dimensional models. This purpose study investigated whether there was any relationship between the five-factor personality and conflict management style. And the second one, what kind of relationship it was if there was a relationship between them, and what might cause the inconsistency or even conflicting research result on the relationship between the personality and the conflict management style. We will use two variable, which the first one is we call as a five-factor model of personality, and the second one is two-dimensional model of conflict management style. So the two views on preference for conflict management style. So proponents of the contingency view have proposed that people select their conflict management style in handling a conflict based on the situation of the conflict episode. So in this case, we are focusing on the pandemic situation. So in contrast with the contingency view, the response hierarchy view depicts that A, individual possess a set of ordered conflict management style. B, the dominant style in the hierarchy is most likely used in managing a conflict. C, the preference for a conflict management style is determined by individual differences in personality and other individual characteristics. Literature gap. The need for this research study was illustrated not only because there are only a few studies on the relationship between the five-factor personality and conflict management style, but also because there are few studies resulted in inconsistent or even conflicting findings. The exhausted literature show that no work have been done on the relationship between the five-factor personality at the facet level and conflict management style except the Morbert's exploratory analysis. Morbert said that suggested that closer examination at the conceptual link between personality at complex facet level and conflict management style was needed. The Big Five is considered as the best personality model available. Two-dimensional models of conflict management have dominated the research study on the conflict management during the past 4 decades. So the neo personality traits instruments or survey instruments based on Costa and McRae and also Rahim Organizational Conflict Inventory 2 based on Rahim 1983 made this quantitative correlational research study possible. And this is the conceptual framework of the title Linking the Big Five and Conflict Management Style within the SME Context Malaysia. As you can see here, on your left is the personality trait. We have 5 personality traits which are neuroticism, extroversion, openness to experience, agreeableness, and conscientiousness. This is based on Costa and McRae 1985 and also 1987. While at your right is the conflict management style, which consists of 5 styles, which are avoiding, competing or dominating, accommodating or obligating, compromising, collaborating or integrating. And this is based on Kilman and Thomas, 1975, and Rahim, 1992. And for the literature review presented in this chapter explored different views about conflict management style, personality, and the relationship between various factors and conflict management style at work. So conflict historical perspective, we have 3, which are conventional view, contemporary view, and also emerging view. And the Kimon and Thomas 1975 two-dimensional model of conflict management and Rahim 1983 dual concern model that are originated from Blake and Moulton's managerial grid have dominated the researches on conflict management style for last 4 decades. There are many factors that may affect and influence one preference for conflict management style, which are leadership style, gender, as well as the personality. And the view of literature on personality theories provided a broad view of personality. There are scarce research studies on the relationship between personality described by the 5-factor models and conflict management style. This research study relies on the framework of two-dimensional model of conflict management and the 5-factor trait theory of personality. The result of this quantitative correlational study will offer the insight of relationship between the personality measured with the Neo 5-factor personality inventory and conflict management style measured with the Rahim Organizational Conflict Inventory 2 in an SME manufacturing setting. Regression analysis of the preference for a specific conflict management style will be applied onto the subscale of facet comprising each personality factor that significantly relates to the conflict management style preference in order to gain an insight of the relationship. For the conclusion, this conceptual paper is the first step of an endeavor to embark on a comprehensive study on conflict management and personality adoption in the SME in Malaysia. It is very important to see the extent of personality traits that influence the applications of practical conflict management practice within the SME in Malaysia, especially during the pandemic situation. It is hoped that the output of this study will be beneficial to all parties concerned, while at the same time contribute to the knowledge enhancement in the academic world. Thank you.